Hello, and welcome back to Disco Elysium. So, final hour of day one, I decided we'll actually go back and speak with the Wild Pines representative lady over on her sailboat. We'll leave the whatever this building, the book, the library, bookstore, and the union area for the following days. Right now, I just want to get that done. Pour myself some whiskey to get myself really in character. I don't have much, so don't worry. I should be plenty coherent. But I'm ready for a bunch of fucking dialogue. How about you? Your room in the whirling isn't much bigger than this sloop. Got some coffee to chase her with.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good evening, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
Joyce L? What does the L stand for?
Leighton, my maiden name.
Her bony hand dangles from the sleeve of her oversized raincoat. What exactly is the art? Well, see, that's just stupid. What gave us away?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk?
I'm not a drunk. I'm a police officer.
Of course you're not. It was only a joke.
I'm only joking. Shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold. She seems relieved.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will. Gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
It happens quicker than a shooting star. But did the lieutenant just wink at you?
Backing
How
me up.
interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
I see.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Wow. We'll ask her for money at the end. You're on a boat.
Why, yes I am.
She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter over her head. Not a lot of people on boats, are there?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
We're on an archipelago?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
I thought we were on Revachol.
We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou.
Well, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
You got a license for this boat?
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
Right. Can I see your license?
I just renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but two insulindic regattas. Even finished once.
Still need to see that license, ma'am.
Actually, you don't.
Pretty sure I do. I police.
It is a little-known fact among those who police that the Wayfarer Act specifically denies the RCM the authority to demand anyone's operator license.
More like Anarchy Act, in my opinion.
No need to politicize this. You may still ask for the lady's passport.
You need to save face if you want her respect. Demand that passport.
I'm gonna need to see that passport.
Of course.
She searches the pockets of her raincoat, producing a bundle of documents in a sealed plastic bag.
The woman is silent, smiling while the waves lap against the hull. In your hand, under the plastic, a light blue passport saying, Republic of Vespa. The coat of arms has a lion and an ostrich. Seigent.
Look at the photo page.
The woman, born in the year 3 in the commune of Revershaw, smiles at you. Face adorned with frown lines and crow's feet. The photo is recent. The name reads, Rejoice Leighton Messier.
Your name is Rejoice?
Yes. But please don't call me that.
Why not?
Joyce is much more efficient.
She doesn't like it. Probably a bad memory. Mean girls at school or some ancient lover.
You're from Vesper?
My husband is. I have dual citizenship. A Vespertine is handier when traveling.
Everything appears to be in order.
She nods and returns the plastic bag to her coat.
Does your boat have a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
What kind of boat is it?
It's a pleasure craft. A 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business.
How do you like it?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Shut the fuck up, Kim.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
I think I got a handle on the boat.
Good.
She takes a sip of her thermal cup. Is there booze in that? I'll arrest your ass. Tell me about Wild Pines. What do you do?
What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
Alright, so what do they do?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
How much money does Wild Pines have?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
Wow. That's it? I thought Wild Pines was supposed to be big time.
And to think, there are years when the group books losses in the billions.
A wave hits the sloop. She grasps the mainstay for balance.
Walpines employ 72,000 people, all of whom have families that depend on their salaries. It is a tremendous responsibility.
And where does Wild Pines get all those billions of shekels?
They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
8% of all cargo in the world? That's quite the endeavor indeed.
There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
We got a new thought. Let's check it out before we continue. The 15th Indo Tribe. Wild Pines, Feld, Capri, Tricentennial, Villiers, and LaSalle. Names of Revacholian Indo tribes spring into your head, set loose at the mention of wild pines. Royal monopolies, octopuses, octopi, swordfish. Most of them gone now. YBP, Expander, Saint Baptiste, Brightest Star, LUM, Resplendent, East Insulindic, Welter, and Eclipset. But isn't one missing? Wait, no, there were only 14. Then why do you feel like there was a 15th Indo tribe? We're going to go ahead and use our skill point on unlocking another thought slot to see where this goes. Anyway.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
So, what can you tell me about the strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
What if I want to hear about the trade secrets?
First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus.
An octopus? I will slay it.
Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike.
So what's your role in this precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
Wait, she just admitted that the lynching and the strike are connected.
Good job, reaction speed.
Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Tell me more about this behemoth.
What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now.
Sounds like we're going to be good friends. So the strike is connected to the lynching?
Yes, I believe there is a connection. But that's a subject for later.
She's resolute in this, yet you sense that she wants to tell you. You'll have to earn her trust first.
So how were the talks going before the lynching?
Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
Can't negotiate with terrorists.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
So what happened to Gaumont?
Mr. Clare told him to, how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Nice.
Yes. Extremely. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
So what are the union's demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes, every worker, a member of the board.
A bunch of over-aggressive, commie posturing.
In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board.
Most of them probably don't even know what that means.
Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
The workers can't be kings. The king is the fucking king.
That may well be. It's not up to me to decide who is king, but as negotiations go, it's not a swell start.
So what are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
The scabs at the gate. Did you put them up to that?
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the Union refuses to?
Don't let her answer it herself.
No. I mean, the scabs.
If these workers were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
Tell me about the union boss, Mr. Clare.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
There's two of them?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself, outside of the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organised labour at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is...
Basically a socialist mob.
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers.
Yep. One more thing. You said something happened in the elections?
I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
This forewoman, her name?
What's her name?
Sadly, the company records do not even give a name. She's just forewoman in private correspondence, Holly. I don't even know if it's a sir or given name, and I don't have access to the Union's files.
Some kind of extortion, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Okay, let's change the topic.
Of course. How else can I help?
What can you tell me about the lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57, and this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
How curious. Why is that, detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My badge loss is related to that.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember a damn thing. This world, this city, nothing.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
The best damn one.
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Sounds like an excuse.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Let's go for it. Suggestion medium. How do I negotiate my way out of this?
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
Surely there's some other way to demonstrate my law enforcement credentials.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Such as?
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
Those drugs are mine.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse me, madam.
The Jamrock Shuffle. In a way, yes, you are treasure hunting. Most officers from Precinct 41 do what is called the Jamrock Shuffle, cracking open containers. Most of them are from Jamrock or Coal City, the poorest parts of Revachol, that also overlap with the network of royal catacombs called Le Royaume, just beneath the streets. As children, you would all go underground, hoping to find treasure, and come back with a rat's tail or a used needle. That playful curiosity must still be in you. Who knows, maybe one day the Orbe de Montagne, the Holy Scepter, and the Cocaine Skull will all be yours.
Cocaine skull, I mean. Damn, that sounds like a lot of coke. That's cool. Gives us better loot and lock containers. I like this character. This fucking shit show of a human being. Alright. What do you have to say, sir?
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
How'd you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman.
Ah, so we're henchmen now?
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
Are you proposing that we don't investigate the drug trafficking?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done, and demand for her information on the lynching.
Let's get back to it then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
I guess we finished those. Tell me about this alleged drug trafficking.
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isla into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years.
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL, and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff.
So let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal?
Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in and around Jamrock Quarter, north of here.
Wildpine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, man. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut.
And so you want us to investigate?
Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dockworkers Union. Still, every chain has its weak link.
Am I gonna need bolt cutters for this?
Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach Jamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers, well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might be waiting for a crucial shipment.
She gives you a knowing look.
I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you.
Why didn't you come to the RCM earlier?
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about whose jurisdiction this area falls under.
We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers.
It's no coincidence the lorries are stranded there like that, is it?
No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge, and the operation will continue. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west. The vulnerable, the weary.
Well, at least this solves one mystery.
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in, on my motor carriage.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you understand.
What proof do you have that the Union is involved?
How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going strong for the 4th month straight.
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves.
So you think the strike is being funded with source ingredients for drugs?
Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, but she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
We've actually already have some suspicions that one of the drivers was present at the lynching.
The two might even be connected.
Or not. Though, if you have evidence to the contrary, I'm eager to hear it.
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done.
Alright, I've made my mind up about the smuggling investigation.
Yes?
We will take the case, probe the drivers, and see what it yields.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
She takes another long sip from her seemingly bottomless thermal cup. You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
This reality?
It's related to that medical episode. I have trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality.
Ah, yes. The Episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy now that I think of it.
She puts down her thermal cup and looks at you.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, you're in. Begin with the first one. You'll appear worldly.
Wow. We'll go ahead and give these white... Okay, 3%. Conceptualization impossible. What is reach for something fundamental?
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all.
Esprit de Corps, legendary. What is... Think of something close?
6 kilometers
Yes!
southwest in the Valley of Dogs. Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emil." He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again.
I really like Esprit de Corps. It's like, shows you what other cops are thinking.
We always do.
What am I?
You? You're an officer of the RCM.
The Revachol Citizens Militia?
Preciso mundo.
Good. And what is the Revachol Citizens Militia?
Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
Are we?
We are.
You said de facto?
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin.
I've played enough Crusader Kings to know that de jure is like the rightful rulers, so de facto is like... Something like, might makes right type of thing instead of tradition. I don't know. Alright, so what do you mean?
The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
So I'm basically one of the good guys?
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it.
She leans in.
Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you.
Why not?
The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the international zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. Anyway, sorry to intrude. Please continue.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol.
Say nothing.
And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
So where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the
Baby.
50+ crowd.
Austin fucking Powers.
It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holdover myself.
Aren't we all?
So what is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour. North of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
What's the name of the island we're on?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea. Misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
All right, that's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
What sort of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
What makes Revachol so great?
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries.
Who built this city?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
And when was it built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people. In the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're pretty much at the center of the world?
Oh, we're quite a way off. About
She points across the water, where the skyscrapers rise.
22 kilometers from the center of the world.
That's not
That
far at all.
soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
They need to make a sequel to this. So we can, I want to go to the big city. They could do it like LA Noire style, where you have just a bunch of disconnected cases instead of the whole game is one case. But budget. Anyway, look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
Where are we?
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
She watches you closely as you scan the horizon.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
I don't want to be lazy. What if I want to do it all right now?
Oh, of course not. You are already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left off.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
Let's check out the new thought. Jamais vu instead of like deja vu. Revachol Special Administrative Region. Le Caillou. The Insulindian Ocean. Coalition Government. Insulindian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at the stickers on the fridge. Trouvant. The Apricot Company. World Games 34. You can almost see your hands reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners. See if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all thoughts. This one you truly must complete. There we go. Time to unlock another thought slot. I've used all my skill points on thought slots. Nothing wrong with that, though. I'm just going to crack through it all right now. If you don't like it, skip the episode. What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
Her eyes light up. There's a flash of
The
teeth.
smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
You've got a predatory streak.
All men are predators, dear. Nothing much to be done about that. It's all a matter of where you get to file your teeth.
So what's the big time?
The revolution.
Ha! What is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
I disagree. Most people are just plebs. Me included. Would you say it's a bunch of apes duking it out?
Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing intra-species warfare.
And the apes, were they evil?
No. I would say the apes were neutral.
Okay, neutral.
On the other hand,
She turns north to the bombed out buildings lining the waterfront, then shivers slightly. Who got shot in the head?
those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
Opposite of real life, where the communists shot everyone in the head and starved them. But I digress.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Sounds like they should have shot some more people in the head then.
This does not represent the official RCM opinion.
Don't worry. Klas Mazov shot 15 million people in the head. But that was all the way over in Grad.
I love this game. It's so true to life. Like, it shits on everyone. The capitalists, the communists, the fascists. Like, every ideology has something that you can argue against. Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
I love that king. Fucking communists.
Which one? Actually, it doesn't matter. King Guillaume has always been my favorite. He could smell a PR disaster brewing. So he got out alive, and his nephew, Fricelle, got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
And by liberals you mean?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
How did the liberals win at all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
If everyone else got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The Coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
I thought you said the liberals took everything.
The Liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The Coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people.
I'm pretty sure these developers are from Eastern Europe, which makes sense why they're so aware of how the world fucking actually works. Because Eastern Europe has been through a lot of troubled times. Anyway, who were the Coalition?
The Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
Moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
Centrists.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
Not just technically, practically as well. I don't think I'm a moralist, ma'am.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
When was this big kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
Who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Zarath do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
No way.
Indeed. Zarat is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
What came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar.
Our lives are not the same.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
What is the zone of control?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
What happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eslary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
It's been like this for how long exactly?
43 years. Hard to fathom, I know.
What have we been doing all that time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to '19 was simply hell.
After that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing, for the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
Were they?
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing.
The United States.
40s dispelled it like a cold splash. An Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are.
This game is way too smart. Whoever wrote this is a genius. I'm sure it was multiple people, but yeah, I mean, that's what they do to the economy. Pump it up.
Welcome to reality, baby.
What would you have done differently?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
I would have... Jesus. I would have killed more. 400 million if that's what it took.
The cold runs down your spine as you say the words, like a small electric charge that seeks grounding.
I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost.
Until this insanity is crushed and Revachol reigns, a suzerain forever.
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The cold dissipates into your parietal lobe, like a dissolved bullet. All is quiet on the Martinez Inlet.
Revachol forever.
Forever? In 20 years, Revachol went from a king to a commune to a zone of control. She is forever, but the next thing she will be is something else.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
And why, of course. We're talking
That was an
Ducat
accident.
Central. No. I would say, on the other hand,
That's
they
enough.
are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
No, that's it for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know.
Thank you.
Anything else? Of course, Detective. Take care.
All right. We're going to end this episode here. When we come back, we'll finish with her, and then we'll talk to Kim. And then we'll probably go to sleep for the night. Thanks for watching.